In today's video, I want to talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves young core. Now, the Minnesota Timberwolves, I just find their young core very interesting, and I want to go over it. And there's no age restriction. I'm just going to go over guys that are pretty young, and then I'm just going to talk about them. So in other words, I'm just going to talk about their young players and how good their future is going to be. So Minnesota's kind of a really random team. Why I chose it for young cores, because as you can see on this chart I have right here, they are the fifth youngest team with an average age of 24.9 years old. Now you can see the Hornets, Magic, Grizzlies, and Thunder. They are all younger. So you might be wondering why I chose the Timberwolves when I could have chose the Thunder. I just think the Timberwolves, honestly, they have a really, really good young core, the best out of those. So I'm just going to talk about them. Not how good they're going to be this year, but just their young players. So let's get right into it. If you guys watched my Western Conference predictions video, you saw that I had Minnesota at 11, and they can arguably be number 10, therefore making the play-in tournament. It's really interchangeable with Memphis. But the reason they're 11 starts with this guy right here, Karl Anthony Towns, who's actually only 25. It seems like he's been in the league a lot longer, but he's 25, and he is an amazing player. Cat was drafted first overall by the Minnesota Timberwolves in the 2015 NBA draft, and ever since then, he has just been progressing into an amazing player. He's an above-average shooter for a center. His defense is average, and his offensive game overall is amazing. There have been years where he has been in league with Jokic and Embiid. It's always been those three, and who's the best center. But recently, his stock's been going down, or his ranking in lists have been going down, and the reason is because he cannot stay healthy. Every year he always gets injured for majority of the season, if not then at least half of the season or a quarter of the season. The point is he's always injured, but when he is on the court, he is an amazing player, and if he starts to stay healthy, then this team is going to be great because they're going to be led by Karl Anthony Towns. The next player I'm going to talk about is another first overall pick, and actually, he just went first overall in the 2020 NBA draft class. You know who it is, Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards now, obviously, he's pretty young. He just got drafted. I think he's 20 now. I'm not sure. Going into his second season, and this guy, already, actually, as I'm recording this, he just had, his first game or first two games, and this guy's balling out. Alright, so the Timberwolves, they only played one game, but Anthony Edwards put up 29 points in that game, and they won. I'm pretty sure that game was against the Rockets. But yeah, Anthony Edwards, he is a great player. I think he was expected to go number 1 in the 2020 draft. He did, and he is an amazing finisher. We see his posters. He always posters people. It's so entertaining to watch him play. Just his finishing, shooting, all around his offensive game is amazing. He's a bit raw, so he needs a little bit more experience, but hey, he's a really young player, and once he gets more experienced, he is going to be great for the Timberwolves team, and I wouldn't even be surprised if he takes over the star role over Towns in a few years. He's that good. The next player is another 25-year-old and is actually one of my favorite players in the league. It is D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell, he got traded to the Timberwolves. I think he's heading into his third season, but correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, D'Angelo Russell, he is a natural scorer. Ever since he left the Lakers to go to the Nets, he's been putting up 20 points per game after 20 points per game. And he even was an all-star one year, got traded to the Warriors, still great. And now he got traded to the Timberwolves, and he has been regressing a little bit. But nonetheless, he is still a natural scorer, and he's going to be a great role player. I know, he's one of my favorite players in the league. And I don't want to say it, but I think his role on this team is going to be a role player. He can still pass. He's still an average passer. He's a great scorer, so if your big guys like Towns and Edwards are having a bad night, he can definitely step up and give you 25 points per game, 30 points per game. And also, he's only 25, so he's going to be an amazing fit to this team. The next player I want to talk about is probably the most underrated player in this whole video. Last year when Karl Anthony Towns was injured, he really stepped up as their starting center. He's only 22 years old. It is Naz Reid, another center that is, like I said, he's very underrated. Now, he's no top 10 center, but he is still pretty good. So Naz Reid, basically last year, Karl Anthony Towns was injured, and this is when he really shined. He got the starting spot, and he just put up great numbers, great defense. He even shot a little bit too. All right, so coming off the bench, last game that the Timberwolves played, he got 5 points and 7 rebounds, which is a really small sample size. It's only one game, but it's okay. You can still see that he's a great player. Now, I don't expect his role to be that good in the future. Like, I don't think he'll play power forward. I think he's a bit undersized. So I expect him to be like a great bench player that is going to be kind of like the star player off the bench unit, but nonetheless, very underrated piece. Again, he's only 22, and I think he honestly has a future on this team. All right, next up on this young core list is 21-year-old, I think this is his second year, Jayden Mcdaniels. Jayden McDaniels last year didn't really have a big role, barely played last year, but nonetheless, you can still see little hints of improvement in his game when he does play. And this year, though he only put up 4 points in his season debut, he is still looking to be a great contributing piece. He's a power forward, and that's what the Timberwolves need. So even though he's 21, he's still kind of young. I expect him to start in a few years. I don't know if he starts now. I don't know. I didn't watch the game. But he will start in the future, and he will only be improving. And that's just what this Timberwolves team is about. Improving. They have so many players that are able to improve, and Jayden McDaniels is going to be one of them in the future. He's a great defender, which is just what the Timberwolves need, and like I said before, he's shown little hints of improving on his offensive end, so yeah. Alright, this next player, honestly, I think he's kind of just an honorable mention. Technically, he isn't. He's on the team. 23-year-old Josh Koji. So, once again, very young. That's the whole point of this video, so I'm going to stop saying that. But Josh Koji, I don't really know much about him, honestly. He's one player that I'm kind of just clueless about. I have no clue what he does. All I know is he's going to be getting rotational minutes this year. He's going to be getting some good quality playing time. We'll see what he does, but the reason why I considered him as an honorable mention, or so you can say, is because I don't think he's going to be on this team much longer. Just something about it. I just think the Timberwolves are going to maybe package him. He seems like a guy that you can package him for a first rounder or the 30th pick or just a pick. So I don't expect him to be there long. Alright, another guy, I'm going to make it quick, Jalen Noel. Now again, don't know too much about him. I think that, again, another guy that can be traded for a late first rounder, future first rounder, a couple seconds. He's going to be getting some quality minutes this year because they don't really have a backup shooting guard. He is only 22 years old, had a very bad debut, but he will get some minutes, and I just don't think he's going to be on this team long, so, yeah. And our final guy is someone actually relevant that I'm going to actually spend a minute or two talking about, 24-year-old Malik Beasley. Now, when I figured out that he was 24, I was actually kind of shocked. I thought he would be a bit older, around the 27 or 28 mark, but no, he's 24. Now, if you know basketball, you know what's been happening with Malik Beasley off the court. I'm not going to get too into it. But on the court, he is an amazing scorer. He's kind of like D'Angelo Russell, but a little bit worse. He can get you buckets if your great players or your star players aren't playing good. He's a great shooter. Just overall, he just has it on the offensive game. Defense can be worked on. Now, again, I don't know how long he'll be here. It's not, or not here, on the Timberwolves. It's not that he's a bad player like the other guys. I'm not saying they're bad. But it's not that Malik Beasley isn't good. Sorry, guys, the voiceover thing just cut off. So, anyways, as I was saying, I just don't think he fits well on the Timberwolves. He can work great on another team, and he's actually a pretty good player. I just think maybe that the Timberwolves in the future are going to trade him for some bench depth or maybe for future picks. But overall, great player, and if he stays on the Timberwolves, who knows, possible, he will play great there. So overall, the opinion on the Minnesota Timberwolves on how they're going to do this year this year is split, whether you think they're going to do good or going to do bad. Personally, I think they're going to be mediocre, but that's not what I was here to talk about. All I'm here to say is, doesn't matter how they're good this year, with all these young players plus picks, I think that they are going to be a great team in the future. That's going to wrap up my video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.